Hello, this is a brief screencast discussing getting started with Project 418 publishing. So this is just a little brief outline in a video format to give people an idea of some of the resources they can start to look at and some things they can start to play with if they would like to start publishing schema.org type data set for some of the work that's taking place within the EarthCube Project 418. So let's just dive right in. There are two really good um, resources that would be good to start with. One is this publishing markdown page that has been created at the Project 418 GitHub repository. And so that can be found at GitHub. It's the EarthCube Architecture Project 418 in the docs. And the publishing markdown really is just a place where we've tried to list out some of the tools, a few of which I'm going to show you in this webcast, such as the JSON-LD Playground and the Google Structured Data Testing Tool. It would also be good to look at some of the references down here, in particular the top two, which are posts from Google. So Google is also going to be indexing schema.org type dataset and building an interface to that this coming year, or in this year now. And there are two really good resources there. One is the blog post, the original blog post discussing their intentions and some early information and links. And the other would be the developer guides for type dataset that Google has published. And so this gives you an idea of some of the various properties that they're going to be looking for. So the recommended properties, some of the sections they're interested in, and gives you an idea then of some of the types of information that can be exposed using this pattern. So those are two really good resources to look for at the publishing markdown page. The other one would be to go directly to then the vocabulary repository. So the vocabulary repository is going to get into some of the details of the various properties and types, other types that are being utilized in this publishing process. And we have actually published these out also to the geodex.org domain underneath /voc. But this will give you a really good, nice visual breakdown as you start getting deeper into some of the things that you want to expose. But you really don't need to worry about that too much initially. I think one of the early good things would be to look both at the structured data testing tool and the JSON-LD Playground. And the PDF of this document will be in the repository, but I will also place links in this video that will take you to these two examples I'm going to show you here now. So what I've done is you can actually create a live example of one of the resources that we are publishing and indexing within Project 418. And one of the nice things about this is that you can actually edit it. So this is one of them from opencoredata.org. And if you scroll down through the source of the HTML page, so this is your HTML page here, and this is the source code that's in it, just the standard HTML. And you'll notice this script ID or the script type application LD plus JSON. You don't need an ID. We're using that for some other things with web components. But inside this, you'll see then that we have the type data set defined here. And so this is actually the JSON-LD that we are looking for. This is it as Google sees it. So this gives you an idea of the types that it's extracting from the JSON-LD and the properties that are associated with those types. And you can actually come in here and live edit these things and start to change them and see what they would look like as they process into the JSON-LD or into the graph here as it's processed across this tool. So this is nice. You can live edit this. This is just a copy. Nothing that you change here gets affected anywhere else on the net. Another one that's really useful is at the JSON-LD Playground. And in this case then, the live example is here. And you can see that in this case, we're just injecting the JSON-LD directly. So we can go in and make changes to that. You can see it in different views, like for example, converting this into RDF enquads. You can even visualize it so you can get an idea of what it looks like, taking a look at distribution and seeing some of the content that's there. So it gives you kind of a nice feel for how this works. But you can actually go into this and begin to edit this JSON-LD and see how it would live affect the outcome. And also, it'll warn if you start putting in errors, right? So if you actually put in an error or something like that, it'll tell you, that we're expecting a comma here. We need a comma in this area. Now, one thing I should note is that the JSON-LD Playground will validate that it is valid JSON-LD. So you will get a properly structured JSON-LD document. The structured data testing tool will actually attempt to interpret that then. In this case, interpret it as Google is intending to interpret it in terms of the types and properties that are there. So you may get errors if you try to put in properties that are not associated with a type or other things like that. Note that the Google tool is only looking at schema.org type data set. Some of the things that we're doing within Project 418 are allowing us to leverage other vocabularies from the community. Those will throw what are called errors in the structured data testing tool. Don't worry, they're not errors. Actually, it's just saying that this is something that Google is not going to index. So if we were to include something from, say, the suite ontology or the geolink ontology or any of the other ontologies that we might incorporate into this, you might get an error here that you would not get inside the JSON-LD Playground because it is in fact valid JSON-LD. And so there are some vocabularies that we are indexing within Project 418 that are not done within Google. Really, what you really want to do is just get an opportunity to play with schema.org type data set. Also, and that's a good thing to point out, that within the vocabulary repository, there are also some nice examples that Adam has created inside here as well. So you can actually come down through here and see this examples link and then start to see, for example, full examples or minimal examples of what these types would look like. So, for example, you could actually take this, go back to the JSON-LD Playground, paste it in. Oh, we do have one small little error, it looks like here. Oh, and this might just be, there we go, just an extra trailing comma inside there. So that gives you a great example, right? How you can look at the JSON-LD and begin to see how is this going to break down, what is it going to provide me, and how can I create this. And so those are two really good places to go and work with this. And so really, if you start looking at that and you start feeling that you have the type of information that would populate a schema.org type data set entry that could be placed into the landing page of a data set, then please get in touch with us, right? Because we would love to talk with you about how you could integrate this into those pages, right? So the next step would be, if you have a schema.org type dataset package, a JSON-LD package, like we're seeing here, like this one, what you would need to be able to do then is incorporate that into the landing page, into the HTML landing page of your resource, right? So as we showed earlier, where we saw in the example of the structured data testing tool, where there was a application JSON-LD type script tag, right? So you place this into a script tag in the header of your HTML document. And if you can get to that, then we can definitely start to index you, index you within Project 418. And this is a situation where we would love to engage with you. Reach out to us. Get in touch with Eric Lingerfeld at the SO office, or Adam Shepard, or myself. We can be found through the GitHub repository. We're not hard to track down, and we hang out on the ESIP Slack channels as well. So look for us there. We would love to work with you on this. This is something we're going to be focused on heavily for the next 2 months, and we would work with you to publish early, publish often, and we would begin to index you then. So we've started to crawl sites and index this information and create interfaces. We're working on notebooks. We have a very simple interface right now at geodex.org that we need to kind of work on some more and spin that up some, but we would love to start indexing you and providing you feedback on what we're seeing in your documents and how that might play into the work that's going on both within Project 418 and also, as noted, Google is going to start indexing this and providing a search interface for scientific data sets. So that's very exciting as well. So again, thank you very much. Get in touch with us. And find us at our GitHub repo and take a look at this presentation and let us know if there's anything that you need if you're interested in getting started with this process. Take care.